Well, let's talk to Chris Philp. He is the Shadow Home Secretary, Conservative MP and key member of Kemi Badenoch's Shadow Cabinet. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Peter.
I want to ask you about quite a number of issues, and I know you don't have a huge amount of time, so we'll just rattle through them if that's okay. Julie Bindel now, another writer, has had a visit from police over a tweet. They say it could be a hate crime. I just wonder, in general, what you make of the fact that people are visiting, especially writers and journalists, and people who are expressing their opinions on Twitter, on social media. Shouldn't the police be solving proper crimes?
Yes, they should. I expect the police to be concentrating on crimes where the criminal threshold is met. Any activity by the police in relation to activities that fall below the criminal threshold should only, in my view, take place where there is a real and immediate risk of an actual crime very shortly occurring. Things like the Julie Bindel case, where I think she'd made some comments about the trans debate, strike me as not appropriate for police activity. We want police to be investigating crime, not investigating thought and debate, because free speech in this country is very important. I've made some changes as police minister just a few months ago to tighten up the approach around so-called non-crime hate incidents, and I had plans, in fact, to go further. But I'm very concerned to hear that Yvette Cooper, the new Home Secretary, is considering actually undoing the changes that I'd made a few months ago.
OK, Chris, I think that covers that, and certainly there are a lot of worries about hate crime legislation or pursuit, certainly, of people being used in that regard. I wonder whether you think it actually should properly be used, in my view anyway, in other ways. A police force refusing to prosecute a man who sent an image of the Star of David intertwined with the Nazi swastika to a Jewish students' organisation. This is Cambridgeshire Constabulary concluded the image sent on social media to the Union of Jewish Students was not grossly offensive. I mean, that to me is open and shut. That is where hate crime legislation should be used.
Yes, I mean, on the face of it, I would agree with you. Obviously, I haven't seen the details, but from what you said, I think you're expressing a very reasonable point of view. You know, we've set out the criminal threshold in law, in things like the Public Order Act 1986, particularly sections 4, 4A and 5 and section 17. We've set out thresholds in the Communications Act of 2003, and the Police and Crown Prosecution Service should be policing to those thresholds set out in law. And as I say, anything else not criminal should only be looked at where there is a real and imminent danger of criminality occurring. I
just tell you what a lot of people see, Chris. They see things like a little quick clip I'm going to play you now of police standing idly by when calls for Zionists to be put down, as this woman said. This is what the Metropolitan Police did in Swiss Cottage in the last few days. Let's just play this.
Now these people are terminally deranged. And the sickness is Zionism. And it's incurable. So they just need to be put down, perhaps.
So this is a woman saying that Zionists need to be put down, and the police just stand idly by. This is often what people see, Chris. Does that frustrate you as Shadow Home Secretary?
Yes, it does. I mean, obviously, I have some trouble hearing the clip, but if the lady you were playing speaking there was saying that people, I mean, put down means killed. So if she was calling for people to be...
Yes, she was.
If she was calling for people with a particular view to be killed, that would strike me as an obvious incitement to violence, which is clearly a criminal offence, and I would expect the police to intervene in those circumstances.
There's another story I want to ask you about today, and that's that a record number of asylum seekers have managed to secure their stay in the UK by claiming to be gay. We're talking about many, many thousands of people saying that that's the case. I mean, some of them may well be, but clearly this is an excuse being used or a reason being used. And I wonder, when you look at the asylum system that, of course, the Conservatives ran for 14 years, that actually it's not fit for purpose, is it?
Well, I'm concerned that some of the evidence thresholds for people to make claims like that are too low. I mean, I saw cases as immigration minister where somebody submitted a photograph of himself with another man saying that was his gay partner, and it later turned out to, in fact, be his brother. Another man claimed to be gay, and then it transpired, in fact, he had children. And you also get cases where people have basically fabricated conversions to Christianity, and then they say, well, if I go back to my country of origin, I'll be persecuted. So I am concerned, and then very often, as soon as they get asylum, they stop going to church immediately. So I'm concerned that the system is being abused, and I think that one of the things we're going to look at in opposition now, as we develop our detailed plans, is how we can elevate those evidence thresholds to make sure people can't make up claims, essentially, with no evidence, which then get accepted. Now, clearly, if someone is in genuine fear of persecution, real persecution, of course, we want to make sure they're protected. But lots of these claims, in my view, have essentially been fabricated with the assistance of immigration lawyers who know what to say in the application, in order to essentially fraudulently claim asylum by claiming things that to be true that in fact are not true. And because the evidence thresholds are quite low, those often get accepted. Now, some of those things proceed from international law, so we need to look at whether we need to make changes there as well. But these are quite complicated legal questions that we're going to be looking at in opposition. So we've got a proper plan that we can then present to the British people to explain how, if re-elected to government, we're going to get this sorted out.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. That's Chris Philp there. He's the Shadow Home Secretary, key member of Kemi Badenoch's Shadow Cabinet.